Level 1. The invisible prison. You didn't know you were trapped. That's the terrifying part. Nobody ever sat you down and said, "This is a prison," because the bars weren't made of steel. They were made of beliefs. Beliefs passed down through generations. Beliefs repeated at dinner tables. Beliefs whispered during power outages. Beliefs spoken by exhausted parents trying to survive another month. You grew up hearing things like, "Rich people are lucky. Money changes people. We can't afford that. People like us don't become wealthy." And because you were young, you believed every word, not because it was true, because it came from people you loved. The people raising you weren't evil. They weren't trying to sabotage you. They were simply handing you the map they were given. A map that never led anywhere. A map that kept every generation running in circles. You watched adults work harder every year, yet somehow become more stressed, more tired, more afraid. You saw people trade their health for a paycheck, then trade their paycheck for bills, then wait for another paycheck. Over and over and over again. Nobody questioned it, because everyone around you was doing the same thing. And when everyone is lost together, the wrong path starts feeling normal. Then one day, a dangerous thought entered your mind. A thought that changes lives. A thought that destroys old realities. What if everything you've been taught about money is wrong? Silence. Because once that question appears, nothing looks the same again. You start noticing things. The hardest workers aren't always the richest. The smartest people aren't always wealthy. The people making the most money often aren't working the longest hours. And suddenly, the story you've been told your entire life begins to crack. The prison walls appear, for the first time. And now, you can never unsee them. Because awareness is irreversible. Once you see the cage, you either escape or spend the rest of your life staring at the door. Level 2. The war inside your head. The first battle isn't financial, it's psychological. You think wealth is about money. It isn't. Wealth begins with identity, and your identity has been programmed for survival, not growth. Survival says, don't take risks, don't stand out, don't fail publicly, don't dream too big, stay safe, stay small, stay predictable. But wealth demands something different. It demands expansion. It demands uncertainty. It demands discomfort. And that's where the war begins. Because every time you try to improve your life, an old voice appears. A voice that sounds familiar. A voice that sounds like family. A voice that sounds like your neighborhood. A voice that sounds like your past. Who do you think you are? You can't do that. People like you don't succeed. That's for other people, not you. And if you're not careful, you'll spend years obeying ghosts. Years taking advice from fears disguised as wisdom. Years shrinking yourself to fit into a reality you've already outgrown. Then comes the hardest realization of all. Some of the beliefs hurting you were never yours. They were inherited, passed down like an unwanted family heirloom, and now you face a choice. Keep carrying them, or put them down. The moment you challenge those beliefs, your world becomes uncomfortable. Friends question you. Family misunderstands you. People accuse you of changing. They're right. You are changing. That's the point. Because growth always looks dangerous to people committed to staying the same. The version of you that stays poor feels familiar. The version of you that becomes wealthy feels foreign. And the brain loves familiarity. Even when familiarity is destroying your future. So every day becomes a fight. Not against the economy, not against other people, against yourself, against old programming, against years of conditioning, against invisible chains wrapped around your thinking. And little by little, one belief at a time, the chains begin to break. Not all at once, not dramatically, quietly, like a sunrise, until one morning, you wake up and realize something. You no longer think like the person who started this journey, and that changes everything. Level 3. The price of seeing differently. The moment your mind changes, your life gets harder, not easier. Harder. Because now you can see opportunities you once ignored, and mistakes you once repeated. You start noticing people spending money they don't have, to impress people they don't even like. You notice entire lives built on appearances, entire futures sacrificed for temporary comfort. And the more aware you become, the lonelier it feels. Because you can no longer participate in certain conversations. You can no longer celebrate habits that keep people trapped. You can no longer pretend that endless consumption is success. You begin to feel caught between two worlds, too aware for the old life, too inexperienced for the new one. A strange place, a painful place, a necessary place. This is where most people quit. Not because they lack intelligence, because transformation is uncomfortable. The old version of you is dying, and the new version hasn't fully arrived. You question yourself. You doubt yourself. You wonder if you're making a mistake. Then something happens. You start studying. Books become weapons. Knowledge becomes ammunition. You learn that money follows value. You learn that assets buy freedom. You learn that income and wealth are not the same thing. And every lesson feels like discovering a secret hidden in plain sight. The game was never rigged against you. You were simply never taught the rules. Now you are. And that changes everything. Because once you understand the rules, you stop playing like a victim and start playing like a builder. Level 4. The years nobody applauds. This is the chapter social media never shows. The boring years. The silent years. The years where nobody believes in you. Nobody notices you. Nobody congratulates you. You work when nobody is watching. You learn when nobody is listening. You build when nobody is clapping. While others chase distractions. You chase skills. While others seek validation. You seek competence. While others spend every dollar, you invest in your future. At first, nothing happens. Days pass. Weeks pass. Months pass. The results seem invisible. You wonder if the effort matters. Then you remember something powerful. A seed underground looks exactly like failure, until the day it breaks through the surface. So you keep going. One skill, one lesson, one investment, one disciplined decision at a time. And slowly, the impossible starts becoming normal. The things that once intimidated you become familiar. The things that once confused you become obvious. The person you wanted to become begins appearing in the mirror. not because of luck, because of repetition. The world sees an overnight success. You see years of invisible battles, years of sacrifice, years of discipline, years nobody will ever fully understand. And that is the price of transformation. Level 5. The moment the world changes. The day finally comes. Not a dramatic explosion, not a movie montage. Something quieter, something more powerful. You realize you're no longer reacting to life. You're designing it. Bills no longer create panic. Unexpected expenses no longer create fear. Opportunities no longer feel impossible. Because you've built something stronger than money. You've built capability. The ability to solve problems. The ability to create value. The ability to adapt. And that's when the biggest realization arrives. Wealth was never the destination. The person you became was. Money simply became evidence. Evidence of new habits, new thinking, new standards, new beliefs. The wealth isn't just in your bank account. It's in your mindset. It's in your discipline. It's in your confidence. Because nobody can take those away. Markets can crash. Jobs can disappear. Economies can change. But the person who learned how to build wealth can build it again, and again, and again. That is real power. Not having money. Knowing how to create it. Level 6. Breaking the generational cycle. Now you look behind you, and for the first time, you understand the journey. You don't feel anger toward the people who raised you. You feel compassion. Because they fought battles you never saw. They carried burdens you never understood. They gave you what they had, even when it wasn't enough. And now, you carry something different. Not inherited fear, not inherited limitation, not inherited scarcity, possibility. You become the interruption, the moment the pattern breaks, the chapter where the story changes direction. Future generations may never fully understand what it cost. The doubt, the sacrifice, the loneliness, the years of uncertainty. But they'll live in the reality you created. A reality built because one person decided to question old beliefs. One person decided to think differently. One person decided to endure the discomfort of growth. That person was you. You were not born wealthy. You were not handed advantages. You were not guaranteed success. But you did something rarer. You refused to let your starting point become your ending point. And as the years pass, the distance between who you were and who you've become feels almost unbelievable. The child raised in scarcity is gone. The builder remains. The learner remains. The creator remains. And when the final scene fades to black, one truth echoes louder than everything else. You inherited poverty, but wealth began the moment you stopped inheriting your limits.